I found out my wife was cheating on a Tuesday, not because I caught her, not because someone told me, because she left her iPad on the kitchen counter while she went to pick up our daughter from soccer practice. I wasn't snooping, I want you to understand that. I was making spaghetti. The iPad dinged. I glanced over because I thought it was a calendar reminder about Lily's dentist appointment. It wasn't. Can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again? From someone named Ryan. I remember the water was boiling over. I remember the hissing sound it made hitting the burner. I remember thinking very clearly I should turn that off. And then I didn't. I just stood there, wooden spoon in my hand, watching the water overflow while my entire life rearranged itself in my head. That was October 3rd. I didn't say anything to her until November 19th, 47 days. And in those 47 days I did things I'm not entirely proud of. Legal things, calculated things, things that, looking back, I'm not sure were revenge or survival or something uglier I don't have a name for. This is that story. I met Jessica in 2011 at a company softball game. I wasn't even supposed to be there. I'd signed up to get out of a quarterly review meeting, figured I'd stand in the outfield and check my phone. She played for the marketing team. Shortstop. She was not good, like objectively terrible, but she had this energy about her, you know. She'd miss a ball and laugh so hard she'd have to bend over. Most people get embarrassed. She'd do a little bow like she meant to do it. I asked her to get a drink after. She said yes, but only if I promised not to bring up her fielding. We ended up at this dive bar called Maginty's that doesn't exist anymore, talked until 2 a.m. She told me about growing up in a small town in Ohio, how she moved to the city to prove she could, how she still called her mom every Sunday even though her mom drove her crazy. I told her I was an accountant, which usually makes people's eyes glaze over. She asked me what I actually liked about it. No one had ever asked me that. I told her I liked that numbers don't lie, that there's always an answer if you look hard enough. She said that was either beautiful or depressing and she couldn't decide which. We got married in 2013, small ceremony, her parents, my mom, a few friends. She wore a dress she bought at Nordstrom Rack and kept the tags on until the morning of in case she changed her mind. She didn't. She looked beautiful. I cried during my vows and she pretended not to notice, which was the kindest thing anyone's ever done for me. Lily came in 2015, Ethan in 2018. And here's the thing I need you to understand, we were happy. Or I thought we were. That's the part that still messes with me, because when I look back I can see the cracks now, but at the time I would have told you we had a good marriage. Solid, not passionate anymore, not like the beginning, but good. She complained I worked too much. I did work too much. I was up for partner at the firm. That meant 60-hour weeks, sometimes 70. I missed Ethan's first steps. I missed Lily's spring recital. I told myself it was temporary, that I was building something for us, that she understood. Maybe she did understand. Maybe that was the problem. She started going to the gym more around January of that year. I noticed but didn't think anything of it. She said she wanted to feel better about herself. I said that was great. Supportive husband. I even bought her new workout clothes for her birthday. Lululemon, the expensive ones. She smiled when she opened them, but it didn't reach her eyes. I should have noticed that. She started putting her phone face down on the counter. Again, I noticed. Again, I rationalized. People do that, right? Mindless habit doesn't mean anything. She started showering as soon as she got home from the gym. She never used to do that. She'd walk around in her sweaty clothes, complain about being gross, drink a smoothie, then shower. Now she'd come in the door and go straight to the bathroom. I told myself I was being paranoid. That's what you do, right? You tell yourself the story that lets you keep living your life. The truth is, I think part of me knew, and part of me didn't want to know, because knowing would mean doing something, and doing something would mean blowing up everything we'd built. So I didn't know until I couldn't not know anymore. October 3rd, Spaghetti Tuesday, the message on the iPad. Can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again? I put down the wooden spoon, turned off the stove, wiped my hands on the dish towel, very methodical, like I was in a trance. I picked up the iPad. I knew her passcode. It was Lily's birthday, 4/15. We'd never had secrets like that, at least I thought we didn't. The messages were in an app I didn't recognize, Signal. I learned later it's what people use when they don't want to be traced. She'd been careful, but she'd forgotten the iPad synced. I scrolled up. 3 months of messages, 3 months since July, all those gym visits, all those late nights at work. The conference in Phoenix, she said, was mandatory. Ryan Patterson, I didn't know him, looked him up later. He was a trainer at her gym, 34 years old, recently divorced. Instagram full of shirtless mirror selfies and motivational quotes. I sat at that kitchen table and read every single message. Every single one. I don't know why. It hurt like something physical, like being punched over and over, but I couldn't stop. There were inside jokes I didn't understand. Pet names. He called her Jess. Nobody called her Jess. She'd always hated that nickname. She'd corrected people our entire marriage, but she let him call her Jess. There were plans, hotels, days when I was traveling for work, times when the kids were at my mom's. And there was one message that I keep coming back to, even now. It was from August, about a month in. She'd written, "Sometimes I feel guilty, but then I remember that I deserve to feel alive again. Is that selfish?" And he'd responded, "You deserve everything. He doesn't see you, I see you." I sat there and I thought, is that true? Did I not see her? I thought about the last time I'd really looked at her. Like, actually looked. Not the quick glance on the way out the door, not the half attention while I checked my email. When was the last time I'd looked at my wife and really seen her? I couldn't remember. And here's the part I'm ashamed of. I felt guilty. In that moment, reading those messages, finding out my wife had been sleeping with another man for 3 months, I felt guilty, like maybe I'd caused this, like maybe this was my fault. That feeling lasted about 10 minutes. Then I heard her car pull into the driveway and something in me shifted. I closed the iPad, put it back exactly where it was. Went back to the stove like nothing had happened. When she walked in with Lily, I smiled, asked how soccer practice was. Lily said she scored a goal. Jessica said she was tired, was going to shower. I said sure, dinner would be ready in 20. She kissed me on the cheek on her way upstairs. Quick, automatic, the kind of kiss you give after 11 years. And I thought, she doesn't know that I know. That thought was, I don't know how to describe it, powerful, terrifying, like I was holding a grenade and no one else in the room knew it was there. I could have said something right then. I could have confronted her, asked why, screamed, cried, done what most people do. But I didn't. I made dinner, we ate as a family. Lily talked about her goal. Ethan knocked over his milk and I cleaned it up. Jessica scrolled her phone under the table when she thought I wasn't looking. And I started planning. I need to explain something about myself. I'm an accountant, a CPA. I've spent my entire career dealing with numbers, patterns, and when necessary, protecting assets in complicated situations. I've seen divorces where one spouse gets blindsided and loses everything. I've seen divorces where the person who plans ahead comes out okay. I wasn't going to be blindsided. The first thing I did the very next morning was call a lawyer, not a regular divorce lawyer. I called Mark Chen. He was a partner at a firm we'd worked with on corporate matters, known for being strategic, known for being ruthless when he needed to be. I didn't tell him everything, not yet, just that I was exploring my options. He said he understood. He gave me a list. Document everything, screenshot conversations but don't let her know, check for hidden accounts, make copies of financial records, don't move money that looks bad in court, don't change behavior, don't tip her off. And the most important thing he said, in this state, adultery affects asset division. If you can prove it, you have leverage. Leverage, that word stuck with me, like this was a business negotiation, like my marriage was a deal gone bad. The next few weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. I was calm, pleasant, attentive even. I started coming home earlier. I'd help with dinner. I'd ask Jessica about her day, really listen like I hadn't in years. And the whole time I was watching, nodding, documenting. October 10th, she said she was going to yoga at 7 p.m. Checked the gym schedule later, no yoga class that night. October 14th, she bought new lingerie. I found the receipt in her purse when she asked me to grab her wallet, Victoria's Secret, $127. She hadn't bought lingerie in 2 years. October 19th, she said she was having dinner with her friend Kate. I happened to run into Kate at the grocery store 2 days later, mentioned how nice it was that she and Jess had caught up. Kate looked confused, said they hadn't seen each other in months. I didn't confront Jessica about any of it, I just wrote it down, dates, times, discrepancies like I was auditing her. Meanwhile, I was taking care of other things. I met with a financial advisor. We had joint accounts, but I started understanding exactly where every dollar was. I quietly moved some of my bonus into an account for Lily and Ethan's college fund, completely legal, completely documented as being for the kids. I talked to my boss, explained I might be going through some personal stuff, asked if there was any flexibility. He was sympathetic, said to take whatever I needed. I started recording things. Not illegally, this state is one-party consent. I could record conversations I was part of, so when Jessica and I talked, sometimes I had my phone in my pocket. I wasn't trying to catch her saying anything incriminating. I just wanted a record of who I was during this period. Calm, reasonable, not the crazy husband. And I started thinking about the house. We'd bought it together, but the down payment had come from my inheritance when my dad passed. $80,000. I had documentation of that. Mark said that could be considered separate property in the right circumstances. I know how this sounds, cold, calculating, like I was planning a war instead of processing a betrayal. But here's the thing, I was processing it, just not the way you'd expect. Every night after she went to sleep, I'd go to the garage and just sit in my car, sometimes for an hour, sometimes longer. I'd cry, scream into the steering wheel, ask myself how this had happened, ask myself what I'd done wrong. Then I'd go back inside, wash my face, get in bed next to her, and in the morning I'd continue the plan. By early November, I had everything I needed: bank statements, screenshots, a timeline of her lies, documentation of every dollar I'd brought into the marriage, a letter from Kate confirming Jessica had used her as a cover story. Kate was horrified when I explained, offered to write whatever I needed. I also had a private investigator's report. I'm not proud of that. Hearing someone to follow your wife feels like something out of a bad movie, but I needed proof that would hold up, and I got it. Photos of her car at his apartment complex. A picture of them walking into a restaurant together, her hand on his back. I had everything. Now I just had to decide what to do with it. The decision came on November 15th. It was a Sunday. We'd taken the kids to the park. One of those rare days where it felt almost normal. Lily was on the swings. Ethan was digging in the sandbox. Jessica and I sat on a bench drinking coffee from the place down the street. She reached over and took my hand. "This is nice," she said. "We should do this more." I looked at her, really looked. 11 years of marriage, 2 kids, a house, a life. And I thought, she's going to leave me anyway. I knew it. I'd read enough of her messages. Ryan was pressuring her to make a decision. She kept saying she wasn't ready, that it was complicated, that there were kids involved. But the tone was shifting. She was starting to talk about what they could do together, where they might go, a future that didn't include me. She was going to leave, maybe not this month, maybe not next, but eventually. And when she did, she'd have time to prepare. She'd move money, build her case, make me look like the bad guy who was never home. Unless I went first. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her and beg for an explanation. I wasn't going to scream and throw things. I wasn't going to give her the chance to spin this, to make it about my failings, to turn herself into the victim. I was going to end it on my terms, cleanly, strategically, and I was going to make sure she understood that there were consequences. I know how that sounds. Revenge, punishing her, and maybe that's what it was. I've asked myself 1,000 times what my motivation really was: protecting myself and the kids, getting justice, or just wanting her to hurt the way I was hurting. Probably all of it at once. Humans aren't simple. I'm not simple. November 19th, the day I'd chosen. Jessica was going to be out late, another work thing. I'd confirmed with a glance at her messages that she'd be with Ryan until at least 10. I hired a babysitter, told her we were having a date night and might be late. She was a college girl from down the street, reliable, the kids liked her. Then I drove to Ryan's apartment. I didn't do anything crazy. I want to be clear about that. I'm not a violent person. I wasn't there to threaten him or confront him or make a scene. I was there to give him something. I'd put together a folder, copies of some of Jessica's messages, the ones where she talked about Ryan like he was a phase, where she called him fun but not serious, where she said she wasn't sure she could introduce him to her kids anytime soon. I also included a note. It just said, "She's still sleeping in my bed every night, think about that." I slipped it under his door. Then I went home, paid the babysitter, went to bed. Jessica came home around 11. I pretended to be asleep. She got in bed next to me, smelling like she'd taken a shower, probably at his place. She fell asleep quickly. I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I watched her check her phone, saw her face change when she read whatever Ryan had sent. She excused herself to the bathroom for 20 minutes. When she came out, she was pale, quiet, distracted. She didn't know it was me, not yet. She probably thought Ryan had gotten the information somewhere else, found her messages himself, grown suspicious. Good. 3 days later, November 22nd, 2 days before Thanksgiving. Jessica sat me down after the kids went to bed. She looked nervous in a way I hadn't seen before, fidgety, couldn't meet my eyes. "We need to talk," she said. "Okay. I've been doing some thinking about us, about where we are." I didn't say anything, I just waited. I'd learned that silence was powerful. "I think maybe we should see a counselor," she said. "Like couples therapy. I feel like we've drifted apart, like we're roommates. I think we need to work on that." She was testing the waters, seeing if I'd noticed anything, laying groundwork for a narrative. We grew apart. We tried therapy, but it wasn't enough. It was a mutual decision. I almost admired it, the strategy. She was protecting herself too. "Is there something specific that made you think of this?" I asked, calm, curious, like a therapist myself. "No, I don't know, just a feeling." "A feeling?" "Yeah." I nodded, let the silence stretch. She shifted on the couch, pulled at the sleeve of her sweater. "What if I told you I already know?" I said. Her face went white, actually white, like the blood just drained out of it. "Know what?" "About Ryan's." She didn't say anything for a long time. I watched her process it. The denial, the panic, the calculation. I could see her trying to figure out how much I knew, whether she could still spin this. How does it matter?" "James, I've known for 47 days, since October 3rd, the iPad." She started crying then, not pretty crying, the ugly kind, snot and heaving and that sound people make when they can't catch their breath. Part of me, and I hate this part, felt satisfied. Finally she was feeling something like what I'd been feeling. But another part of me just felt empty. I'd imagined this moment so many times, played it out in my head. The confrontation, the breakdown. I thought it would feel like justice, like closure. It just felt sad. "How long have you?" she managed. 3 months since July. I read everything, Jessica. "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. James, please, I never meant to get caught." She flinched. "That's not. I didn't plan this, it just happened. I was lonely and he was there, and I know that's not an excuse, but..." "You're right, it's not an excuse. I'll end it right now. I'll call him and you can watch. James, please, we can work through this. People work through this. We'll do therapy, I'm filing for divorce." That stopped her. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. "What, James? No, we can talk about this. We have kids, we can't just..." "I've already talked to a lawyer. I have documentation of the affair. Dates, times, photos. I have records of our finances, including the $80,000 of my inheritance that went into this house. I have character witnesses. I have everything." She stared at me. For the first time, I saw something other than panic in her eyes. I saw recognition. She was seeing me, maybe really seeing me for the first time in years. "You've been planning this," she said, "this whole time. Did you expect me to just find out and start screaming, throw things, make it easy for you to call me the angry husband who couldn't cope? I expected you to be human about it." That landed, I won't lie, it landed hard. "I'm protecting myself and our children," I said. "You can call that whatever you want." She wiped her face. When she spoke again, her voice was different, harder. "So what happens now?" "Now you move out. I've already talked to a family attorney about temporary custody. I'll have the kids during the week. You can have them every other weekend until we formalize things." "You can't just decide that." "I can suggest it. And given the circumstances, I think any judge would agree that keeping the kids in their home with the parent who wasn't having an affair is in their best interest." She laughed then, this sharp, bitter sound. "God, who are you?" I'm the man you married, you just forgot to pay attention. That was cruel, I knew it was cruel when I said it anyway. We sat there for a while not talking, the house was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming. Finally she stood up, I'll stay at my sister's while we figure this out. That's probably best. She started walking toward the stairs then stopped, turned back. Did you ever love me? I wanted to say something cutting, something that would wound her the way she'd wounded me, but I couldn't. Yes, I said, I loved you so much it terrified me. She nodded, went upstairs, I heard her packing. I sat on that couch until 3 a.m. I didn't feel victorious, I didn't feel strong, I felt like I'd just performed surgery on myself, necessary maybe, but brutal. The divorce took 11 months. 11 months of lawyers, paperwork, negotiations, and conversations I never wanted to have. Jessica hired her own attorney, of course, a woman named Sandra Chen, no relation to my guy, who had a reputation for being aggressive in custody cases. I think Jessica was expecting a fight. She got one, but maybe not the kind she expected. See, I had everything documented. The affair, the lying, the timeline, and in our state, adultery is still considered a factor in property division. It doesn't mean the cheating spouse gets nothing, that's not how it works anymore, but it can affect things. More importantly, I had documentation of where our money came from, my inheritance, my bonuses, the 401k that was entirely in my name because she'd never contributed to the one through her job. The house was the biggest issue. We'd paid $420,000 for it in 2014. It was worth close to $600,000 now. She wanted to sell it and split the proceeds. I wanted to stay, keep the kids in their school, their neighborhood, their lives. In the end, I bought out her share. It wasn't cheap, but I had the savings and I had help from my mom. The kids got to stay in their home. Custody was harder. Jessica's lawyer tried to argue that my calculated response to the affair showed emotional coldness that wasn't good for the children. She tried to paint me as controlling, manipulative, obsessed with winning instead of co-parenting. My lawyer countered with the fact that I'd been the primary present parent for months while Jessica was conducting her affair. We had testimony from teachers, from the babysitter, from neighbors about who was actually showing up for the kids. We ended up with joint legal custody, but I got primary physical custody. The kids live with me. Jessica has them every other weekend and one night a week. She also has 2 weeks in the summer and alternating holidays. She hated it, still does I think, but she agreed because the alternative, going to trial and having all the details of her affair come out in open court, was worse. During those 11 months, I learned things about myself I didn't know. I learned I could be patient, methodical, strategic. I also learned I could be petty. There was a moment, I'm not proud of this, when Jessica's lawyer was deposing me. She was asking about my discovery of the affair, trying to catch me in an inconsistency. And she asked, Mr. Hartman, did you at any point share information about your wife's affair with the other man involved? She was asking about the folder I left at Ryan's door. I said yes. And what was your purpose in doing that? I should have said something neutral, something strategic. My lawyer had prepped me for questions like this. Instead, I said, I wanted him to know that she was lying to him too. Jessica was in the room. I looked at her when I said it, saw her face. Was it satisfying? Yes. Did it help my case? No. Did I do it anyway? Obviously. The revenge you plan isn't always the revenge you execute. Sometimes it's small, petty things. A comment in a deposition, making sure she knows you're thriving on social media, not bending on holidays because you technically don't have to. I'm not proud of all of it, but I'm not going to pretend I didn't do it either. Here's the part nobody talks about in these revenge stories, the kids. Lily was 8 when we split, Ethan was 5. We sat them down together, Jessica and me, about a week after she moved out. We'd agreed to do it together, to keep it simple, not to blame anyone. Lily asked if Mommy did something bad. I don't know how kids pick up on these things. We hadn't told her anything, but kids know, they know when something's wrong even if they can't name it. I looked at Jessica, she was crying, not helping. I said, Mommy and Daddy both made mistakes. Sometimes grown-ups grow apart. It doesn't mean we don't love you. It doesn't mean we don't love each other in our own way. It just means we can't live together anymore. Lily nodded. I don't think she believed me, but she accepted it. Ethan asked if he could still have goldfish crackers for snack. Kids are weird like that. The world is ending and they want to know about crackers. The months after were hard. Lily became quiet. Her teacher sent notes home about her not participating in class. She stopped wanting to go to soccer. She started having nightmares. Ethan acted out, hitting tantrums. He'd never had tantrums before. He told his preschool teacher that his family was broken. I put them both in therapy. A child psychologist named Dr. Martinez. She was kind, she helped. But there were moments. One night, Lily came into my room at 2 a.m. She'd had a bad dream. I let her climb in bed with me and she curled up against my side the way she used to when she was little. Daddy. Yeah, sweetheart. Is Mom ever coming back? She didn't go away, honey, she just lives somewhere else now. You'll see her on Friday. But is she coming back here to live with us? I didn't know what to say. I wanted to tell her the truth. No, she's not, because she made choices and I made choices and now this is what's left, but you can't say that to an 8-year-old. I don't think so, honey, but she loves you so much, we both do. Lily was quiet for a while, then, I miss when we were all together. Me too, sweetheart, me too. I lay there in the dark and I thought about all my planning, all my strategy, all my leverage. And I thought, was it worth it? This, my daughter crying in my bed at 2 a.m. because her family broke. I don't have an answer. The lawyer part of my brain says yes. I protected my assets, my home, my relationship with my kids. If I'd confronted Jessica that first night, screamed, acted crazy, maybe she'd be the one with primary custody now. Maybe she'd be the reasonable one and I'd be the unstable ex. The father part of my brain says I don't know. Maybe if I'd reacted differently we could have tried to fix things. Maybe therapy could have worked. Maybe I gave up on my marriage because my pride was hurt and wrapped it up in strategy to feel better about it. The honest part of my brain says it doesn't matter now, what's done is done. All I can do is be the best dad I can and help them get through this. Lily's doing better now, she's 10, she's back in soccer. She started writing in a journal, Dr. Martinez's suggestion, and she's opened up more. She still has hard days, especially around holidays when she has to split time. Ethan's 7, he's adjusted. Kids are resilient, people say. I think that's partly true, but I also think they carry things we don't see. The other day, Ethan asked me why I don't have a girlfriend, out of nowhere. We were eating breakfast. I'm not really looking for one right now, I said. Mom has a boyfriend, he said, not accusatory, just matter of fact. Jessica and Ryan broke up about 3 months after the divorce was final. I heard through mutual friends. Apparently, without the forbidden thrill, it wasn't as exciting. She started dating someone new about 6 months later, Mark. He seems okay, I've met him a few times during handoffs. I know, I said to Ethan, is that okay with you? He shrugged. I guess he's nice. He let me play his PlayStation. Kids. They're handling all of this better than I am. It's been 2 years since Jessica moved out, a year since the divorce was finalized. People ask me if I'm over it, if I've moved on. I don't know what that means, honestly. I don't think about Jessica every day anymore. That's progress, I guess. There was a period, those first few months after the confrontation, when I couldn't get her out of my head. Every song reminded me of her. Every restaurant we'd been to, I'd drive past the gym where she met Ryan and feel my stomach drop. That doesn't happen as much anymore. Now it's just, sometimes, a song, a smell, finding one of her old sweaters in the back of the closet. I went on a date last spring. My buddy set me up. A woman named Rachel, also divorced, 2 kids, understood the scheduling nightmare. We went to dinner. It was nice. And then halfway through the main course she asked about my marriage. What happened? Normal question everyone asks. I gave her the short version. She had an affair, we divorced. I'm sorry, she said, that must have been awful. It was. How did you handle it? Some guys I've dated, they're still so angry, like it was yesterday. And I realized I didn't know how to answer, because I was angry, I am angry. But I'd packaged it so neatly, filed it away under strategic response and protecting my interests. that I'd never actually let myself feel the full weight of it. I told Rachel I was still working through it. She nodded. We finished dinner. She texted me that she had a nice time. I never texted back. I started therapy a few months ago, not couples therapy obviously, just me, a guy named David. He's calm, doesn't judge. He asked me once what I was most afraid of. I said being lied to again. He said, what else? I sat with that for a while. What else? I'm afraid that I liked it, I finally said. The planning, the strategy, the winning. I'm afraid I became someone cold to avoid feeling broken, and now I don't know how to be warm again. David nodded. We've been working on that. Here's what I've learned, and I don't offer this as wisdom, just as what I've figured out so far. Revenge isn't what you think it'll be. All that planning, all that strategy, all that legal but devastating stuff, did it help? In practical terms, yes. I kept my house, I have my kids most of the time, I didn't get destroyed financially. But did it help me heal? Did it make me feel better? Did it give me closure? No, not really. The closest I came to closure was about 6 months ago. I ran into Jessica at the grocery store, just the two of us, no kids, no handoff, no lawyers, just two people in the cereal aisle. She looked tired, not bad, just tired, the way we all look in our late 30s when life has happened to us. James, she said. Jessica. We stood there awkwardly, two people who used to know everything about each other, now strangers who share children. How are you? She asked. Fine, you. Fine. More silence, then she said, I'm sorry for everything. I know I said it during the divorce, but I mean it, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to accept her apology, part of me wanted to reject it, part of me wanted to tell her that sorry doesn't undo anything, that words are cheap, that she should have thought about sorry before she started sleeping with her gym trainer. Instead I said, I know. She nodded. We stood there a few more seconds. The kids are doing okay, I offered. Lily's thriving in school, Ethan's getting good at soccer. Her face softened. Good, that's good, tell them I love them. I always do. She smiled, a small, sad smile, the kind of smile that says, this is what's left of us, two people in a grocery store being polite. Then she walked away. I stood in that cereal aisle for probably 5 minutes, just thinking. And I realized something. I didn't hate her. I wasn't sure I'd ever hated her, not really. I was hurt, betrayed, angry, but hate. Hate would have been easier. Hate is clean. What I felt was messier. Some residual love, some resentment, some guilt about my own failures, some pride about how I'd handled things, some shame about the same. It's all mixed up. It probably always will be. If you're watching this because you just found out your spouse is cheating, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Every situation is different. Every marriage is different. Every person processes betrayal differently. But here's what I can share from my experience. 1. You don't have to react right away. You don't have to confront them the minute you find out. You don't have to make any decisions while you're in shock. You're allowed to take time to think, to plan, to figure out what you actually want. 2. Protecting yourself isn't wrong. I felt guilty sometimes during those 47 days, like I was being manipulative or cold, but I was protecting myself and my kids. If you're in a situation where you might get divorced, you need to understand your finances, your rights, your options. That's not revenge, that's survival. 3. Revenge is complicated. I don't regret keeping records. I don't regret talking to a lawyer early. But some of the petty stuff, the folder I left at Ryan's door, the comment in the deposition, those things felt good in the moment but didn't actually help me. They fed my anger but didn't address my pain. 4. Kids come first. Always. Whatever satisfaction I got from winning the divorce evaporated every time I saw Lily cry. Every strategic victory meant nothing compared to my daughter asking if mommy was coming home. If you're going through this and you have kids, please get them help. Don't badmouth their other parent in front of them. Don't use them as weapons. They didn't choose this. 5. You can do everything right and still feel broken. I was strategic. I was calm. I protected my assets and my custody, and I still needed therapy. I still had nights where I couldn't sleep. I still have days where I feel lonely in a house full of memories. 6. There's no such thing as closure, not really, not the way movies show it. There's no moment where everything clicks into place and you're healed. There's just time and small progress and learning to live with the scar tissue. I titled this My Revenge Was Legal but Devastating. And it was. The divorce was devastating for Jessica, financially, socially, in terms of time with her kids. But here's the thing I didn't understand when I started planning: it was devastating for me too. Executing a perfect strategy doesn't make you feel powerful, it makes you feel exhausted, empty, like you've won a battle and lost something you can't name. I protected myself, I'd do it again, but I also became someone I didn't recognize for a while there, someone cold, calculated, more focused on winning than healing. That person was useful in a crisis, but I don't want to be that person forever. These days I'm trying to figure out how to be warm again, how to trust, how to open up without having a backup plan. It's slow, I'm not great at it yet. But I'm trying. My kids are asleep upstairs, Lily has a soccer tournament tomorrow, Ethan wants to build Legos when he wakes up. This is my life now: small moments, quiet nights, a house that's too big for 3 people but that we're learning to fill. Sometimes I walk through the house after they're asleep and I think about everything that happened. Jessica, the affair, the 47 days, the divorce, all of it. And I think, was it worth it? I still don't know. But I'm here, my kids are healthy, we're figuring it out one day at a time. If you've been through something like this, I'd love to hear from you, not advice necessarily, just how did you get through it? Did you ever stop feeling angry? Did it get easier, or did you just get better at carrying it? Leave a comment or don't, I'll probably be up late tonight either way. Thanks for listening.